SEO is yet another crucial component of marketing that's ultimately controlled by those big tech oligarchs and their almighty algorithms. But there are some best practices that you can implement with your website to improve your church's chances of being discovered online. Welcome to Church Media HQ. We are your church's one source for graphics, websites, videos, and all things creative. I'm Luke Clayton, and thanks so much for joining me. Make sure you're subscribed so that you're the first to know when we release new content just like this. So what is SEO? Well, it's quite simply an acronym for Search Engine Optimization. You probably don't browse the internet very often without using a search engine. There are some websites you might go directly to the URL, but in many cases you are going to be using a search engine, and the most dominant search engine out there is, of course, Google. It is the absolute king of search engines, and it therefore pretty much controls the direction with these best practices for SEO. Now, SEO as a whole is pretty complex. Fortunately, though, for a church, you are going to be considered a local business or establishment, and therefore local SEO is going to be much more important to focus on, and that is much more manageable. So you've already taken the first steps to having good local SEO by having a website and claiming your Google business listing. So now we're going to take a look at our three emphases as our framework for moving through a process of optimizing your church's website for local search. When it comes to worship, I know we've talked about this many times at this point, but we just want to make sure that our service times, our main worship times, that those do stay current on our website, as well as our Google business listing and any other platforms you might have, like, for example, Facebook and social media, and so forth. Also, if you've got a church office and you've got office hours, you want to make sure those are accurate as well. And the big thing is you want to make sure they're current and that they reflect each other across the different platforms. So you don't want your Google business listing saying something different than your website or your Facebook listing. You want it to all be consistent. When it comes to your teaching content, this is where updating your website with current info about your upcoming sermons or sermon series is a good idea. This is another reason from a marketing perspective, preaching in series is really good because now you'll have content that you can update about that every 1 to 2 months. I'm not saying you got to post something every single week about the latest sermon necessarily, but if nothing else, you can say, hey, here's our current or upcoming sermon series. And it just gives you another reason to go in and update your site and show Google that you're actually actively updating your site. And speaking of which, the connection opportunities at your church gives you a really good opportunity to do that too, as you keep your content about your church's upcoming events, ministries, and opportunities that you have there, keeping that current and up to date. Again, what we're trying to do here is we are proving to Google that you are an actively managed website. Otherwise, if you leave your site alone for months on end and never update it, Google is going to assume that your website is dormant, and it's going to hurt your results when it comes to the local listings there and people are searching for churches in your area. So what can you do right now? Well, you need to set a recurring appointment on your calendar to update your church's website at least once a week. I found that Monday mornings are typically the best because you just came off Sunday. You can change any information that might be out of date because Sunday just passed, and you can update with anything new coming up in the following week. Now, if this seems like too big of a commitment, well, let's talk about what Church Media HQ could do for you. We have a web platform that we've developed here that allows you to schedule website content to be both added as well as removed from your website. So this makes that management process much more efficient. In fact, you could probably, if you're planned ahead and you know what's coming up to your church, you have a good plan in place and schedule and calendar and so forth, you can probably check in on your website about once a month. You just schedule all of the content that's going to be relevant in that next month to publish and then expire at the right time. So this is one of the best features of our website platform, is the ability to schedule content to be published, but also to expire. And if you want to check it out yourself, well, you can get a free demo of our website platform right there at churchmediahq.com/start. Just share a little bit of information. We will set up a time to demo it with you completely free so that you can see how our platform works. Now, up until now, we've really been focusing on your church's digital marketing presence. So next, we're going to move into talking about your physical presence as we discuss a little bit about audio and visual for your church's worship experience. We are your church's one source for graphics, websites, videos, and all things creative. I look forward to seeing you next time right here on Church Media HQ.